Cuckoo! Hi, it's Kim today. We are here with our final and fifth episode of French Women Unfiltered. This series is for those of you who have listened in the past. We are interviewing French women, and they are sharing a real honest perspective about what they think about life, everything from motherhood to work to relationships. And this will offer perspective, advice, inspiration, and we're going to go beyond the cliches. So today, I'm very happy to have Melanie, a friend of mine here. And we have a glass of champagne because it is Friday late afternoon, and it is actually time for apéro. Apéro, as you guys have learned, it is kind of like a French happy hour, but usually has a little bit more like snacks with it, but always a glass of champagne. So today we have a glass of champagne. So I'm saying cheers to Melanie today because today we are very excited to have her. She has lived in France. Well, obviously she's French, but she has returned to France for the past 6 years. She has 4 children, and I will let her share a little bit about her story. So Melanie, maybe just tell us where you were born, a little bit about your past, and I know you've lived in lots of amazing places.
Yes. Yes, I'm Melanie. I'm 45 years old. I have 4 daughters, and I was 100% French, as you can hear.
Stop.
I was born in the southwest of France.
Okay.
But I moved a lot in France.
Yes.
Because of my father's jobs.
Okay.
And I ended up in Paris during my high school, and I did my university in Paris. And I had my first job in Paris. And then I met my husband, and then we moved outside France. So we went to Mexico quickly, then to Madagascar.
So cool.
For 1 year.
Okay.
Then we moved to Cambodia for 12 years.
Wow.
Then to Thailand for 2 years, and during the COVID.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, it was a bit complicated, but we had to move back to France.
Okay.
And it's been now 6 years that I'm back in France.
Yes. Amazing. Okay, and I love the story of how you met your husband. It's such a great story.
I don't know.
So can you share that story with us? Because you didn't actually meet him in France.
No, yes, I met him in France.
So he was in France. Okay.
Yes, because he was raised in he's French.
Okay.
But his father is from Netherlands.
Oh wow. Okay.
And the mother, my mother-in-law, she's Cambodian, Italian, French, but born and raised in Cambodia.
Okay.
But she was working for the UN.
Okay.
So my husband was born in Africa.
Okay.
Raised in Africa.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was living a bit everywhere.
Yeah.
And when he was at the university, he was studying, and he was doing a PhD at that time.
Okay.
And me, I was working for a big TV channel in France.
And what were you doing there?
I was producing TV show.
That's so cool.
Yes. And I loved that job at that time.
Yeah.
And so when I started at TF1, which is the main TV channel in France,
okay.
I arrived and I was at the reception.
Yeah.
And, this guy was at the reception. I say, looks
pretty hot.
Yeah. But, he's a receptionist.
Right. Like you're like the high up with
like
the boss.
French, yeah. But me, I was working with the boss and he was that. So he was doing his PhD in geopolitics, and he had, to survive, let's say, to work like doing small jobs, like, at the reception.
Of course.
And this is where I met my husband. And then after that, we spent like 2 years together.
Yeah.
And then you apply for a job, and we had to move to Mexico and then to Madagascar.
Wow.
So I quit my job to follow him.
What was that decision like? Were you like, oh, I know this guy's the one, so I'm okay giving up my job to move with him? Were you guys engaged at the time? Was that a conversation?
We were not engaged. Okay. And at the beginning of the relationship, I was like, no, don't fall for him, because I knew that he will,
travel and move you all over.
Knowing his past, his background, I knew that he was just in Paris for like
a
not
short
a long time. But me, I wanted to travel and everything. Yeah. But I was very happy in my job. I had a good position. I was young, but still managing people, working very, very hard and everything. So I was very happy. But then, I fell in love, of course. And I say, okay, maybe I'm going to negotiate with TF1 to say, okay, can I leave?
Yeah.
And then maybe if it doesn't work, can I come back? And they say yes.
That's amazing.
So, then I say, okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I went to Mexico for a few weeks. Yes. But we knew that he will be found. They will send him to Madagascar.
Wow.
To set up a microfinance.
Oh, that's what he does. Okay.
Yes. So I arrived in Madagascar. But, at that time I was like, I don't know, 23 or 24 years old, like coming from Paris.
Yeah.
I was a simple person, but, I was
of course
in this,
type
of work,
job.
Like with drinking champagne, recording TV show and with fancy clothes and blah, blah, blah. And I arrived in Madagascar, which is like, very,
like
very,
a remote
very
island.
Poor.
Yes.
Yeah, remote island, country with nothing, very, very poor. Like, I mean, when you're not used to travel, it's like, boom.
Wow.
But, after 1 month, I look at him and I say, this is really the life that I always wanted to live, actually. And he looked at me and he told me, this is when I realized that you will be the love of my life.
Oh my gosh,
yes,
because you both were like in your element, feeling like you wanted to travel. He was doing his
he was
career
used to it, but he was a bit, I think, scared, to bring me from
Paris and
but
France
I think I was ready and I felt good, and I was I found a nice job there in a big advertising agency.
Cool. Yeah. So you got another good job.
Yes.
Amazing.
And so I was working a lot and everything. And at the same time, discovering a new country, new culture and everything. And after a year, we had the opportunity to go to Cambodia.
Okay.
So because he's a bit from Cambodia.
Yes. Okay.
So we spent 12 years there in Asia.
So tell me so you moved to Cambodia, and then did you have your two first children in Cambodia?
So
what are the age? Maybe we talk about what are the ages of your children? So my
first one, she's gonna turn 18 soon.
Yay!
The second one, she's 16.
Okay.
And the third one, she's gonna turn 11. And the last one, the little one, she's gonna turn 7.
Yes. Okay.
So for the first one, I was living in Cambodia at that time. But in terms of hospital and everything, I was not like feeling very comfortable giving birth there.
Right.
So I went back to France just to give birth. So, you can travel. I was pregnant, maybe 7.5 months pregnant. So you can still travel if everything is okay. So I went back to France, gave birth there, and the time to do the passport and everything. Went back maybe 3 weeks after the delivery, back to Asia. So I did exactly the same thing for the Mali and Louis.
And did your husband come with you?
Yes, but not the entire time because he was working, so he couldn't take that time. Yeah. So each time, it was a lot of stress to say, okay, please don't miss the birth. So, every time he was there, and it went well.
So that's a long flight.
Very long, yeah.
And
a bit stressful.
I was going to say, because this is your first baby.
Yeah.
And was anyone from your family there? Where's your family right now?
They are in France. So I was when I traveled, I was in Phnom Penh, and I went to Toulouse, and my parents, they had a place to.
They have a place in Toulouse. Yeah. Okay.
So my mother, she was with me. Okay. So she was
nice.
waiting with me, doing the last, appointment, medical appointment stuff and everything. So it was great. And I was just
you're like, please.
Okay, you just need to be on time. I don't want to deliver to,
Of course.
But he was right on time and everything went well.
That's so great.
And we went back, I don't remember, but I think together.
Okay. And then you had your second in Cambodia.
The second one, I was living in Cambodia, but I did the same. I went back to France.
Okay.
And for the third one, for Ella, I didn't want to go back to France. It's just that, it's a long time when you already have two kids going to school and everything. So I say, okay, I'm going to go to Thailand, which is 1 hour flight from Cambodia. And they have great facilities, hospital and everything. So
and that was in Bangkok.
Yes, in Bangkok. So at that time, I was able to travel just only 3 weeks before the delivery. But,
got it. Okay.
Still,
that's really close. Yeah.
And then they are very fun. They were able to do the passport to go back to Cambodia in 1 week. So, I had to spend only 4 weeks in Bangkok, and then I was able to come back with my baby in Cambodia. And the last one, I was pregnant when we moved from Cambodia to Bangkok, to Thailand.
Yes.
And for the first time, I was able to give birth in the same country, same city where I was living,
I mean, that is
which is great.
I bet you felt like
feels
that was
very easy,
It felt easy.
And fourth, okay, it's just
and the fourth, you were probably like, all right, this is nothing. I could do this in my sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, more or less. But
more or less, but still. I think it's amazing because most women, speaking of myself, I was so nervous, and I was in the same city. I knew where the hospital was. I knew the doctors that were going to deliver, but you still have that anxiety feeling.
Yes, sure.
And I can't even imagine you're flying a long period of time. You probably didn't know exactly who was going to deliver the baby, right?
Yeah.
Do you know?
No, I knew.
You kind of knew. Okay, you knew. So that helps.
Yeah.
But still, and then you travel back with a
with a
tiny infant.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
But when you're expat and you live very far from your country, you get used to it, every summer, everything. I was traveling with 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, and at the end, 4 kids and a newborn, and you have to deal with it, and it's not like you train your kids to travel, also, but to behave, in a plane, that is going to take 12 or 15 hours, and actually you do it.
So you traveled a lot internationally with 4 children alone?
Yes.
And
yes, a lot.
What is your advice?
Maybe we will talk about my job later, but it's like, like an athlete, when you have to perform, it's a bit the same. Okay. So you need to be mentally ready, like, that you're not going to sleep.
Yes.
It's about logistic, get ready, banana.
Yeah.
And then you need to be patient, to be cool. Yeah. But actually, I don't know if I have like very easygoing kids, but everything went, because when you arrive in a plane, and like people, they see you by yourself,
of course,
with 4 kids and a newborn, they say, oh crap, like, we're not gonna spend the best flights, but then at the end, people, they were coming to me,
were
like,
they
saying,
nice?
like, your children, they behave so well. We were like a bit scared when we saw you like arriving in the plane like with 4 kids, but actually, and
they were good.
Each time it's not that it was easy, but it's okay.
Do you think that my personal feeling is every little thing that you do that's hard prepares you for the next thing that's hard? And so you get this sort of confidence, like I wouldn't say overt confidence, you're still a little nervous, but you feel like I can do that, like after you do some hard things. And I think that's like, if you guys take away one thing from this episode, know that the first hard thing like gets easier as you go on, as you do the second hard thing and the third. And I just think that's you're a great story for that.
And I think what I learned very quickly as a mother, it was like, if you are like relaxed, calm and cool, your kids will feel it.
Feel that energy for sure.
And that I knew that I had to be like cool, calm.
Yes.
And that maybe it will go like smoothly.
More smoothly. Yes.
But sure, you're right.
Yeah. And I think you're also right. The more your kids get used to international travel, the easier it becomes. They're more prepared. They know, I think.
And they love it.
And they actually start to love it.
Yeah. They say, okay, I'm going to watch TV in the plane and I'm going to do this and that. So, no, they are very happy. And anyway, when you live, it's your case. But I mean, you have to do it. Otherwise, you don't see your family.
Correct.
And so, it's part of the deal.
No, it's part of the deal.
Yeah.
And I think the kids, if you're also like me, like they don't watch TV or screen time all that often. So when they get on the plane, that is like a treat. It's like full screen, 12 hours,
restriction.
maybe longer, no restriction. So there is something to that for sure. Okay, so tell me a little bit about when you then decided you moved back to France. How did your kids adapt? Like what language? Were you always speaking French together at home, or did you speak a mix of English with your children? How did that work when you were in
I would
Thailand
say it was
and
a
Cambodia?
Mix. I was speaking in French mainly, but I put them in an international school very early because I was not a big fan of the French school. Even though,
there were
in
French
Asia,
schools?
yes, but I didn't like it. So they were speaking a lot in English. And so it was a mix with Asian, so Khmer for Cambodia, let's say, Khmer languages with the nanny, because this is the life where you
have help,
the chance, But it was great for us also because my husband is Cambodian, to maybe have the connection and the culture and maybe able to speak a little bit.
That's great.
So it was a mix between Cambodian and Khmer language, English a lot, and French.
Wow.
So it was a mix. So they could, the first, let's say, sentence, it was like a mix of the 3 languages. Like,
so interesting.
But so that's why it was good to come back in France and to maybe speak more French, a better French.
Did you worry that your kids were not speaking French
but
very
you
well?
always think that when you are French, that your kid's gonna speak like you, like.
Of course.
But actually, when they are not raised in the country, like listening the French all the time,
interesting.
Going to school like 6 or 7 hours per day in
just
that
in
language. But actually, even though you're French, they cannot learn.
That's so interesting.
So, when the nanny talk to you in Khmer,
right?
That at school it's in English.
Yes.
That mainly when you do play dates, blah, 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 with international kids, it's in English.
It's in English.
And maybe I'm going to tell them, can you help me in French, basic stuff?
Right.
But, it's not enough.
Wow, it's interesting.
So, but this, I realized, later. That's why we, with the little one, we really make an effort at home to speak only French. Yeah. To try to keep the French as much as we can, because it's
that's
also
interesting.
Our culture.
Of course. And
so that's why it was great to be back in France also for that.
And did your children have trouble adapting back to France? Like when they went to school, was it I know they went to an international school still, but
yes, in international school, but even though you are in international school, you are in France. So, and sometimes it's managed by French people.
I was going to say,
so you still have the French spirit. Yeah. So at the beginning, for the first two one, it was a bit complicated. Okay. It was okay because they were friends with international kids. But when they met French people, French kids, they could see the difference.
Really?
They could actually, I'm supposed to be French. Oh, but I don't think, and I don't act like you.
Wow.
And they felt a little bit disconnected from the French culture. And it took them a little bit time to understand the way the French behave, and they became a little more French. Yeah, I have to. But now they can,
flex back and forth. Yes. How would you describe what they experienced when they met a French person and said that I don't feel exactly like them? Was it the routine? Was it the language, the level of vocabulary?
I think it was the behavior.
The behavior. Yeah. What's the behavior?
Because, they used to be outside being with international kids, American school.
Yes.
So it's always more, sorry for the cliche, but it's more like, you're great, we include everybody is nice, look great, which is great. Me,
I think this is why Melanie and I are friends. She was like, you're so American.
And I'm so French. But
you're not actually so French.
No, but it's great, because French, we are not like that at all. Because I'm going to try to explain.
Yes, please.
It's just when you're French, I think we can be very nice people, very warm, but not at the beginning.
No.
It means that if you come to see me, I don't know, you say, hey, man, or hey, nice to meet you. I love your dress. You look so nice. And as a French person, I'm going to say, okay, what does she want?
Yeah. You don't trust.
We need to assess. We need to take time. And if we see that you're a nice person and everything, it's we can be warm, but you need to earn it.
Yes.
And we are a bit proud, of course.
Of course,
so,
you should be.
Posh, okay, and I'm not going to give you my friendship like that, And even though I think you have a nice dress, I'm not going to tell you
that.
Which is completely stupid because this is what I learned from you. It's what it's going to cost me to tell you that you have a nice dress if I think that you have a nice dress? Nice dress, it's great to say, okay, I have to be honest, I love your dress, and that's fine. Now I don't, I'm French, but I don't think like that anymore.
Yeah.
But I think for my kids, this is, when I say in terms of behavior, like they were a bit posh, talking about brands, fashion. In Asia, they I don't know these brands. I don't care about that. They were wearing flip-flop and,
right.
It was more simple and very positive and nice, more like international American way.
For sure.
And they were a bit shocked at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it took them, quite some time to...
That's super
interesting. But they adapt well because they were in an international school.
Yes.
If I had to put them in a French school, they were
no.
Cannot imagine.
That would have been really hard, I think. Yeah. It's interesting. I'm coming back to what you said about, because I've experienced this personally, not with you because you actually are very warm right away, but a lot of parents that I meet that are that are French and they haven't lived anywhere else. They look at me literally their daughter said in French, "Why are you always smiling?" And I was like, "Oh, I just smile because I said hello to you." And she said, but I don't know you. And so it was like bizarre for her as a child, for me to smile at her. And she was acknowledging that she didn't know me, so I shouldn't necessarily be smiling at her. And
it's a bit intrusive.
A bit intrusive for a child. Like, I guess it was
But even for adults.
And for an adult.
You were like, we always directly think like, what does she want? She's gonna, ask me something, which is stupid. But it's
normal. It's part of the culture. And I think also what's perceived from Americans is, oh, they're being fake. Like that's not, that couldn't possibly be who they really are. Yes. And it's funny, I'll tell a quick story. Melanie and I were just, chatting before this, and I said she was worried about her English. I was like, her English is great. And I think you guys that are listening will agree. But she said, you're just so American. You're saying that to be nice. And I said, no, I'm actually not. Like, I wouldn't have invited you if I didn't think your English was great.
You're so perfect, Melanie. Your English is great. So perfect, your vocabulary is here, come on.
She was laughing. And I said, no, I'm actually being real. But I think there's a natural perception that you assume like I'm just overly friendly as an American, and I assume like, well, why isn't she taking me seriously? This is actually who I am. No, exactly. And so it's just, but it's funny. We know each other, so it's okay. But I think if you have all those like sort of perceptions in your head, but when you just meet someone, it's challenging. Actually,
yeah, it's challenging.
Yeah. But anyways, I was interested. That's an interesting story. No. And then coming back to now, your children, would you say they feel kind of like Cambodian, kind of French? Like, how would they describe, and especially the difference, because you have a big age gap?
The little one, I think they feel like they are French.
Yes.
For the Mali and Louis, my first one, she always say like, I'm Cambodian.
Okay.
She likes that. She has the rebel French side. The rebel. So she said I'm Cambodian, but actually it's more like, you're very French actually.
You're like, by saying that, you're actually very French.
Yeah, exactly. No, but she likes to, because I think the fact that they are a bit Italian, French, Cambodian, raised in Asia, and Dutch from Netherlands.
Yes.
They like it. But the Asian side, I think, because they grew up in Asia, she likes to, I don't know how to say in English, to revendiquer. She's very proud of her roots, Cambodian roots.
That's amazing.
She, I don't know, she's gonna say maybe that she's French, but she always add like also, I'm also Cambodian.
Yeah. That's very cool.
The second one, also she's gonna say, but at the beginning, when they were young, they were saying like, we feel more American than French.
Wow.
Because, being in an American international school, the language, also they were watching TV. It was more like American TV shows. So they had all this culture and knowledge about, but for the French side, no, not at all.
Yeah, interesting.
So now I think it's getting better. They get the French people, the French teenager, how they behave. They can really see the difference, and they can navigate.
That's so
between
cool.
those different worlds.
Yeah, I mean, you should be so proud. Like the fact that they can understand multiple cultures, adapt easily, travel. I mean, it's really amazing.
Yeah, but this is what you are doing. Also, when you live abroad, you are more open-minded because you have to see the things in a different perspective.
Yes, for sure.
And it's great because you realize that you open up in
the world.
Yeah.
I completely feel the same way.
And also when you learn a new language, I don't know, with French, but you understand even better the culture.
For sure.
In Cambodia, I'm able to speak
You can
speak
Khmer,
fluently, but Poitois.
Okay.
And, it's, for example, to say like fingers, they're going to say the end of the hands, for example, which is okay.
Yeah.
But literally. But for example, to give birth, they're going to say you have go through the river.
Wow.
So if I translate, meaning like, it's going to be long, it's going to be difficult, but in a poetic way,
it's beautiful.
And it's nice, when you understand, when you go a bit deeper in you understand,
for sure.
Well,
same in French, and I'm sure you have words in English that you're like, that don't.
Apéro, yes.
Apéro, like, j'adore ça. But I think it's also words like the flâner, like you take a walk without a purpose.
Yes.
There's no word for that in English.
Yes.
Like there's probably 5 words you have to use to describe that, and which I think is so cool, and it describes like the mentality, I think, of the culture beautifully. And there's plenty of words like that, I think, in French and English.
Nice,
so
nice.
Love that. Okay, I'm going to switch gears a little bit to talk about your work, because you've had so many cool jobs, and now what you've been like, I think you've done an awesome job of, I think anyone listening to this, that we often get questions of how hard is it to like change careers and jobs, and is that something I could do? And I think you're a great example of someone. So you started in TV production, you worked in an advertising agency, and now you have a mental health, sports medicine. Like, how would you describe now what you've started? And talk a little bit about, you went back to school for it, and what did you learn?
Yeah. When I was young, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a sport teacher.
Oh, that was like your dream.
Okay. But I saw that I was not good enough in math, biology, and all sports science. So I said, okay, I'm going to fail. But then I was also interested in communication, advertising, so I did a business school.
Okay.
But and then I ended up like in a TV production. Yeah. Which I really love this job because I think it fits me well. But and then I had to quit. I decided to follow my husband and everything. So I found this job in a big advertising agency. When I went to Cambodia, same. It was a huge worldwide advertising agency. So I was able to get a job there. Then, I had my first kid, then my second. But I always I opened up my own business.
Okay.
With friends and everything. I organized like a catwalk.
I
did so many things.
Yeah.
And at some point I say, okay, but I felt like, because also, I work is very important for me. And, I'm an ambitious person and everything. So this is what I did at the beginning. I had this job in TV production. I was managing people very early, blah, 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 blah. But then when I met my husband, I decided to put maybe not my work on the side, but to let him,
lead the family charge.
Lead the family and financially and everything. But I was happy because, I started to have kids and I was living in Asia, so discovering the culture, which is almost a job
for sure.
Because you need to learn the language, to learn
navigate with your children in school, and it's a lot.
I still was able to open a business and do many stuff. So I was happy, but at some point after many years, I felt like no. I need really to do something that I'm passionate about, like something that I need to work for myself. I gave a lot of time for my husband, for my kids, and I was, super happy to do it. Yeah. But it was about time, and so I said, okay, I'm going to do the job that I wanted to do when I was young, even though I'm maybe not going to bring like $1 million of dollars.
Of course, but it was about like following yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So I went back to school when I was in Thailand.
Okay.
I did to become a fitness coach.
Oh, cool.
But I knew that I wanted to become a strength and conditioning coach for athletes, and maybe in the boxing or area.
Okay.
And so yes, I started so I got my diploma and everything, my certification, and then we had to move back to France. So I just started to work and I moved back to France, and it was for me the opportunity to go back to university, French university, to become a strength and conditioning coach
for athletes. Yeah,
cool. And I was able to start to train like a pro boxer, English pro boxer and everything. But I also wanted, when I started to become a coach, and I thought, okay, the brain is very important.
Yeah. So you've been coaching athletes, and you thought the mental health side of it was also important. So you went back to school for that.
I went back to university for that, and I became also a mental coach. So I'm doing everything.
Wow.
So coaching people for like you and me. Yes. And then I have the athletes on the strength and conditioning, and I have athletes also for the,
for mental health.
Yes.
So you do athletes for both, and then just regular people, I would call myself, like for mental health as well.
Yeah, for the mental part, it's mainly athletes.
Mainly athletes, okay.
If for example, you come to me and you say, I want to do a marathon, but I also need to train my brain. You can come to me. But it's mainly athletes because it's still in France. Maybe in America, I don't know. It's well known already, and in France, it feels like you're gonna see someone for mental coach. So it means that you have a problem
they think it's negative,
but actually it's not. It's just if you train your body.
Yeah. You have to train your mind.
You have to train your mind.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, sure. And you don't need to have any problem to train your brain,
It's so interesting because I think people, and I think it's evolving, but like, for example, you've probably run a marathon, maybe?
Yeah.
I ran more half
less
marathons.
And more.
Yeah, same. I've ran more half marathons. I've never done a full. But if you don't have the mental strength to get through like those last couple miles, like it doesn't matter what kind of shape your body is in.
Exactly.
And so I think that part is actually more and more important.
You need to get ready because so usually when people they come to me, I try to help them to know themselves and to know how their brain works because mine works differently than yours. Of course, And then because you have to deal with your emotion, with the stress, with sometimes negative thoughts and everything. But you can anticipate that.
Yes, for sure.
So that's why we're gonna plan something. I'm gonna give them some tools, especially for them. Something that what I will put in place, it will be very different from you than mine. For sure. You
customize.
Exactly.
Yes.
Completely.
Yeah.
And it's great. And I think
that's
when people
really cool.
they do that, and me, I love it.
That's amazing. Really what advice would you have for people who have a passion but haven't pursued it? Would you say go for it? It's worth it? Would you say take the time, like figure out what that passion is and take little steps toward it? Like, because I always struggle with this too of
what do you mean? Like what's your passion, for example?
I mean, I have had to discover my passion for over the past, it's probably like been a while that like you, when I was younger, I loved English, writing, journalism, and instead I went into business. So I went into marketing and I liked a lot of my marketing career for sure. And I still do some of it for, on the side, but not as a full time. But I've discovered I love talking to people like you. I love just sharing inspiration, like sharing perspective. I love writing. I love reading. Those are like things that I would do if no one paid me anything. And like that's been a journey for me to discover that and be okay with accepting that because it's less conventional than staying on a marketing track, right? Or staying like as you were in an advertising agency and working your way up. And it's hard, I think, to accept that about yourself and then to actually go after it like 100%. And it seems like you've actually done that.
Yes, I've done that. But also because I was, for some people that they would like to do it, but they cannot because financially speaking.
Yes, I know.
But if you don't have this problem, which was my case, which I'm lucky.
Yes.
It's great. Go for it.
Yeah.
You are doing it and maybe you will make a lot of money with it or not, but
either
at
way.
least you're fulfilled, and it's great. And we always like scared about like, not even me as a coach at the beginning, I was like, maybe, there is better coach than my, but when you love that and you work hard and everything, at some point you will succeed.
Yes,
for sure.
I completely agree. But you get in your own head for sure at the beginning. I mean, it's called imposter syndrome for a reason. Because it's actually a real thing.
Yeah.
But I think
still sometimes I still have this syndrome for sure. But then I'm like, be strong.
But I love.
Don't compare yourself with you do your job, you love your job, you do it with passion, and you go for it. And when you have good feedback,
And I love that too because I can tell that you're what I call like a growth mindset person. Like you keep challenging yourself because you want to grow as a person. And I think that's the reason you said yes to doing this podcast because I know that this is not in your complete comfort zone.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think it's so great that you did it anyways, even though you're like, this isn't my native language and this isn't something I've ever done before. And I think that's just like a sign of if you get yourself in a mindset that you can grow and you can do things and you coach your mind and I think it's amazing. And I'm very happy you're here. So
it's not easy.
I know it's not easy, but it's been so great. So I'm going to ask you 2 last questions.
Yes.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay. What part of being French do you feel most in your daily life?
I would say something very cliche.
Okay. Go for it, please.
When it comes to good wine, good food, and good bread.
Good wine, good food, good bread. Okay, love it.
Sure. Very cliche,
I don't think
but
that's
I have
cliche,
to be
but
honest.
I agree. That's so great.
Then maybe, what we were saying before, like maybe less now.
Yeah.
But that sometimes I'm French, the way I behave, like, we are a bit proud, the French. Yeah. We can be nice, but we don't give everything
right away.
And I think I'm a bit French in that sense, but less and less because like I said, the fact that I used to live outside France
it helps you.
Yeah. So also I think we like to gossip and criticize a lot.
Gossip and criticize.
So I don't like
that's
to
a French
well, maybe everybody likes to gossip, but I would say that French, they always see the negative side of things.
I would agree with that.
And they like to criticize, but not in the... So me, I think I'm not like that because really I'm not, and I don't want to be like that.
No, I don't see you like that.
I love to, when I say criticize, but in a good way. It's more like gossip,
it's for
let's
fun.
say. So maybe it's not really French. I don't know.
No, that's interesting. Yeah. And this kind of leads to my next question. What do you think women from other cultures could learn from the French in a positive way?
I think because I knew that you
knew I was going to ask you this,
and it's really not an easy question.
I know,
and I was thinking about that, and I think that sometimes the French women, we can find the right balance in everything. As a mother, as a working woman, as a wife, as a friend, with food, with sports, with everything.
Yes.
I think we are not perfect, and we are okay with that. And we try always to find the right balance between what is right for us as a woman, as a wife, but also for the family, and and I don't know if you see what I mean.
I see exactly what you mean.
We, for example, if we talk about food, I don't go for a diet, whatever.
Yeah, you don't diet.
I can go for a chocolate cake, but I know that after maybe I will, pay attention. It's always finding this balance. But in everything, I think we are quite good at it. It's a bit pretentious, but I don't like to say that. But that maybe we are good at finding the right balance.
I think you're.
So, I don't know if you feel that.
Completely agree, and that was one of the things. You're not actually the only person who said that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, our last interview, Ludivine said the exact same thing.
Oh, really?
She said about finding like the right balance between work, being a mother, and she said, and I think it comes down to a couple things. Like, I think there's a nice, like, quiet confidence about French women that is very different. I think you see some of the extremes in the American and other cultures, like going all the way to like, I'm not going to eat for this amount of time and I'm dieting and I'm on XYZ. And you see the entire culture revolve around that. And then it swings the other way of like, now it's my binge day and I'm going to drink and eat anything I want. And I think the idea also that you can see that in work, it's like, I'm either working all the time or I'm not working at all. And so it's just, I love that about the French culture, and I love that about French women, that there is a confidence of knowing themselves and knowing what's right for them, and what they don't have to go to the extreme to learn.
Exactly.
And I think that's really cool.
It's also what we were talking about before the podcast, the way we are raised, you know, that we have this rhythm about I think it's really true that, finding the right balance, we have this frame where, we also like to be a bit rebel, like to it's finding the to be respectful, to eat quite well, to exercise, not too much, and it's really, I think, part of our culture.
I think it definitely is. And she's referring to the structure of like the day, right? Like, so like there's breakfast at a certain time, lunch is eaten between these times. after your kids have a goûter, which we've talked about a lot in the podcast, and then there's no eating in between there.
Yes.
And then it's time for dessert. And so it was funny, small story, but even before this, so for you, like there's no champagne for apéro before 5 o'clock. And so we were starting this and I'm like, okay, it's 4:30. I'm going to pour champagne. And she was like, oh, no, it's not apéro time yet. I was like, okay, we have 30 minutes. Do we need to wait or should we open the champagne? So it's cute, small things like that. But I think you're right because the structure doesn't allow all day snacking or like, drinking all day or like things that are, I would say, unhealthy habits that can develop in the US as I'm an American, but I see this in other cultures as well. And I think the structure does help to achieve that balance.
Yes,
so
exactly. We have the structure and then we can go a bit,
multiple around it if you want to be rebellious.
But with this structure, so we can keep this balance.
Yes. Okay. I love that. Okay, Melanie, you were such a fun guest. I was so happy to have you.
Thank you.
So thank you again. And thank you all for listening. And this is our last episode of the series. Let us know what you thought. And please follow us at cuckoo.pod. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.